All right, now we're going to talk about types of formulas. Are you ready? Here's this stuff. Pause it, peruse it if you want. All right, let's get right to it. So what is an empirical formula? Basically, it means it's the reduced version. So it's a chemical formula. It shows the composition of a compound, but it uses the lowest whole number ratio. So it's been reduced. So it's like putting a fraction in lowest terms, but we're using subscripts. The molecular formula, on the other hand, is a chemical formula that shows exactly the number and kinds of atoms in a molecule. And it is not necessarily in lowest terms, but it can be. So here's an empirical formula, reduced version. Molecular formula. So in this molecule, for example, there are 2 nitrogens and 4 oxygens. That's telling me exactly what is in the molecule. But I reduced that ratio of 2 to 4. Should know how to reduce ratios to 1 to 2. I adjust the subscripts and I get the empirical formula. All right, so if H2O2 is the molecular formula, what is the empirical formula? Well, the ratio of the elements is 2 to 2. So it reduced to 1 to 1, so it would just be HO. N2O4 was just on the previous slide, NO2. So what about C6H12O6? What can I reduce it by? Well, I can reduce it by 6. So I end up with CH2O. What about P₂O10? Well, I can reduce by dividing all of the numbers by 5. And I get PO2. And what about the next one? Well, I can reduce by dividing all of them by 3. So I get this. And then here I can divide them by 2. When I do, I get this. That's as far as I can go. Difference between molecular and empirical. You can use a chemical formula to determine the percent composition. So percent composition is the percent by mass of each element in a compound. We have 2 versions of iron oxide. One is iron 2, one is iron 3. The percentage of oxygen and iron is different in both. So how do we find it? Well, we use a formula on table T, so this is not a memorization thing. You just got to know it's there. All right, so you were given this guide. So just to kind of support you through the calculation. Okay? So let's go through it. I'm going to follow the guide. So if this is the question, calculate the percent composition of CaSO4. That's calcium sulfate. First, I'm going to write the formula of the substance. Then it says I'm going to complete columns A, B, C, and D. So I'll do them in order. So I'm going to write the element symbols. So I have 3 elements. I'm going to look them up on the periodic table and write down their molar masses. Now I'm going to look at the formula and how many atoms of that element do I see in the formula. So essentially I'm checking subscripts. All right, so I write them down. Now this right here, this symbol and this symbol is meant to remind you, in order to get the mass of the elements in the formula, I take the molar mass by the number of atoms. So you do that multiplication. All right, so I completed columns A through D. Now I have to add column D to get the gram formula mass. So I got to add all those numbers up. I get the gram formula mass. Now it says for column E, I have to calculate percent composition using that formula. So for calcium, the mass of the element is right here, this. That's the mass of the part. What is the mass of the whole? That's the gram formula mass. So I set it up like this. 40.1 divided by 136.2 and then times 100. You can't forget the times 100, plus it's literally in the formula. Okay, then I do the same thing. The gram formula mass is the same for all these elements, so I should be dividing them by the same thing. The only thing that will change is the mass of the part. Okay? And this makes sense. Oxygen has 64 of the grams, so its percent should be the highest. right? Now, the percents should total 100 or pretty close. So do they? Let's check. Actually, they do. So beautiful. Those are percent compositions. So the percent composition of calcium, 29.4%, of sulfur, 23.6%, and of oxygen, 47%. All right, so this one, calculate the percent composition of water in this. Now, this is a hydrate. This is kind of the hardest type of problem you have. So first, I'm just going to write the formula. When I write my list of elements, I'm going to write NaCO, and then I'm going to write this, even though oxygen is also over here, since I have to calculate the percent composition of water, I'm going to leave this hydrogen and this oxygen separate. It will help me in the long run. So it seems like it's harder, but trust me, it's not. So I'm going to look up the molar mass on the periodic table, get them all down. Now I'm going to look at the formula. Sodium subscript, carbon subscript, oxygen subscript. Now, when I get here for this one, slightly more complicated. Hydrogen subscript is 2, but look at that coefficient. So it's actually 14. Oxygen subscript is 1, but look at that coefficient. So it's actually 7. And again, following this guide, I'm going to do that multiplication. All right, now what do I need to do? I need to add it up to get the gram formula mass. Now here's the thing. In the last problem, we calculated all of the percent compositions, but this time it just says, I want the percent composition of water. So is this sodium part of the water? Nope. Is this carbon part of the water? Nope. Is this oxygen part of the water? Nope. Is this hydrogen part of the water? Yes. Is this oxygen part of the water? Yes. So let's just calculate those. So I take 14 divided by that gram formula mass times 100, I get 6%. And then 112 divided by 232, again, the gram formula mass times 100, I get 48.3%. Now I add them together because this hydrogen and this oxygen were both part of the water. So this is my answer, the percent composition of the water. So does that percent make sense? Well, yes. The oxygen was a huge part of the gram formula mass. In fact, if I did 112 divided by 232, it is basically half, right? So that doesn't make sense. All right, you can use percent composition to determine an empirical formula. So let's look at an example. You were given a guide. Okay, here's our example. So let's go through step by step. So first, write the element symbols. So I have carbon, I have hydrogen, I have oxygen. Write the percent that's given in the problem. Now, since percents are out of 100, I'm just going to make an assumption that makes sense. I'm going to assume instead of whatever number of grams, I'm going to assume I have 100 grams because percent is based out of 100. So all I do in that case is just switch my percents and make them grams. I look up my molar mass from the periodic table. Now I have to do calculations next. So I want to find a number of moles, okay? So I have grams, I have molar mass. The formula is right here. This came from table T. So I take my given mass, that was from the problem, the percent we changed to grams, divided by the gram formula mass, which we just looked up on the periodic table. You can see it set up as this divided by this, okay? And that's going to give me the number of moles. So now I have the number of moles. So if I were writing this as a formula, it would be C5H13.4 01.6625. You see a problem with that? Yeah, nobody writes formulas like that. That's way too complicated. So the next step, what I need to do is look for the smallest number of moles. So, oh, it's this one. This is the smallest number of moles. So what I'm going to do is divide each of these numbers by that number. So the smallest number of moles is 1.6625. So I'm going to do 5 divided by that. I get this. I do 13.4 divided by that. I get this. And then I do 1.6625 divided by that, and I get 1, which should make sense. Now I check. Are all of the numbers that I have here whole numbers? Yes, they are. Beautiful. Now I write the formula. 3 C's, 8 H's, 1 O. But I don't write the 1. So there you go. There's the empirical formula. All right, so let's try it again. Okay, ready? Write my symbols. Write the percent that's given. Remember, I'm going to assume 100 grams. Change the percents to decimal. Easy peasy. Look up molar mass on the periodic table. Now I'm going to do this calculation. Change my given mass from the problem, divide it by the gram formula mass, and get moles. And I get these numbers. Now, again, I don't write a formula K 0.679. No, can't do it. Look for the smallest number. So my smallest number is 0.679795. And now I'm going to do each of those divisions. Now, when I do that one, obviously that's the smallest, so I get 1. When I do the next one, I get very close, like 1.00 something, so I just call it 1. All right, and for the next one, I get 3.5. My next question is, are all the numbers here whole numbers? No, they're not. So I'm not going to write, oops, wrote the wrong one. So I'm not going to write KCRO 3.5. Nope, can't do it. So I got to go to the next step. All right, so I have to make those numbers all be whole numbers. So if you aren't sure how to do it, just start with 2, try multiplying by 2 first. If that doesn't work, go back to the beginning, try multiplying by 3, by 4, by 5. Those are the most common ones that you would multiply by. So let's try 2. That's the easiest. The only number that's not a whole number is this one. So when I do 3.5 times 2, I get 7. Beautiful, whole number, perfect. So what I need to do is multiply all of them by 2. Now, are they all whole numbers? I can write my empirical formula. K2, CR2, O7. All right, you can use molar mass and an empirical formula to determine the molecular formula. Oh my goodness, that's so many calculations, right? So you were given a guide. Here's how to do it. So write the empirical formula, write the molar mass. It has to be given you in the problem, okay? That is not a trick. So write my element symbols, look up the molar mass on the periodic table, and how many moles are in the formula. I look for subscripts, okay? Now to find the mass, so I take the molar mass times the number of moles, I get this. Add them up, and I get the gram formula mass for the empirical formula. So first, is this number, 142, equal to 284? No, it is not. So I'm not done. So I got to go down here. If it's not, divide the molar mass by the gram formula mass that I just calculated. Okay, so I do this, 284 divided by 142. It's going to give me a whole number. Yes. So what I have to do now is multiply each subscript in the empirical formula by that number I just got. So there's the empirical formula. I have to multiply that subscript times 2 and that subscript times 2. And there's the molecular formula. All right, so let's try it again. Write the formula, write the molar mass, write your symbols, look up the molar mass, look at the formula, look for subscripts, multiply across, add them up, I get the gram formula mass. Is this that I just got equal to what was given to me in the problem? Negative. So that means I have to go on. I have to divide the molar mass by the gram formula mass of the empirical formula. And I get 3. So now what I have to do is take my empirical formula and multiply each subscript by 3. But remember, if there's no subscript, it's a 1. So that gives me 3, 6, and 3. And there you go. Okay, we did a whole lot of math, but we've been focusing on molecular formulas and empirical formulas. Now we're going to look at structural formulas. And structural formula is like a diagram. It's a graphic representation. It shows the atoms and the bonds in a molecule. So if this is the structural formula, what's the molecular formula? I count. When you count them up, 2 C's, 2 O's, and 4 H's. When I write the empirical formula, I reduce it. So for this one, what do I do? Okay, from the structural formula, how do I get the molecular formula? Count. Easy peasy. Now reduce it. There you go. How do I get the molecular formula? Count. There you go. Then reduce. What kind of formula is this? Well, that's structural. All right, what kind of formula is this? Well, I should know it's not structural, so it's either molecular or empirical. So can it be reduced? So it's molecular. What about this one? Well, it's not structural, so it's either molecular or empirical. Can you reduce it? So it's empirical. All right, so if we're given this compound, what's the molecular formula? How do you find it? Just literally count. There you go. Which 2 terms represent types of chemical formulas? Well, we can have molecular and structural. Empirical is the other option. Which formula is empirical, meaning it can't be reduced? There you go. Which molecular formula is also an empirical formula? So that means I can't reduce it. In order to be empirical, I can't reduce it. So there you go. Now, given these 2 formulas representing the same column, which statement describes these formulas? Well, if you look at A, you can't reduce it. That means empirical. B can be reduced. So A is empirical and B is molecular. And there you go. That's types of formulas. Whole lot of math. Hope you learned something new.